Fox Sports.
Last night, the ballgame had a freakish feel. Tim Lincecum was in the house, and boy, was he nasty. 10 strikeouts, and the Giants shut out the Fish. At 1-8, it's been a long, rough homestand. The Marlins need to regroup. One last chance to get a win before hitting the road. The Marlins, the Giants, coming up. A long and painful homestand comes to an end for the Florida Marlins today at Sun Life Stadium. Game 3 of this series. The Marlins won the first. The Giants shut out the Fish last night. The Goodyear blimp is with us, high above, looking down below. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The Marlins last night took a couple of punches to the gut. The first was delivered by Tim Lincecum and the Giants pitching staff in a shutout. The second, a couple of moves made by the organization after the ballgame, Tommy. Stunning ones, with Logan Morrison sent down to AAA, Wes Helms released.
Yeah, and I think the Logan Morrison move more of a punch in the gut than the Wes Helms move. 17 home runs, 60 RBIs, helping the club with production. I don't care about the 249 batting average. The ball club is not a better team with the moves that they've made, and I always thought moves were made to make your team better. Wes Helms hitting 118 since the All-Star break. He's really struggled, but a veteran, a guy who was good in the clubhouse, and we wish Wes the best of luck. He still wants to play a little bit. He mentioned that last night after the game, and when his career is over, you'll probably see him in some sort of coaching capacity.
On Marlins Live, Jack McKeon was asked about the demotion of Logan Morrison. McKeon said it was not his decision. If you look at the production, he led the major leagues in RBIs in the month of July. Obviously, it has to be something other than on the field.
It has to be something that took place off the field. So far, nobody's found that out yet. The other thing, it's going to really hurt the lineup, I think, with Mike Stanton. Mike Stanton, a young hitter, he needs a little protection around him. You put Mike Stanton in that Philadelphia lineup, there's no telling what he'd do. He has no protection right now in the Marlins lineup.
Well, and he's facing an all-star. The pitching matchup in this one, the San Francisco Giants are sending out one of the feel-good stories, and that's Ryan Vogelsong, a guy that spent 3 years in Japan, was released by 2 teams last year, our Coventry Healthcare Florida starting pitchers. He's an all-star, and where would the Giants be without him?
Unbelievable story. A guy who spent 3 years in Japan. He's finally figured it out. He's learned how to take a little bit off, add a little to the fastball. And Chris Volstad, you hope he learned a little lesson going down and starting 3 times in AAA.
Yeah, we'll see how Volstad reacts when we get back as the Marlins get set to take on the San Francisco Giants. Post-game quotes from Logan Morrison after last night as the Marlins get set to take on the Giants and finish off this 3-game series.
Wes Helms released. In Lomo's case, Jeff, is it a case of maybe taking a step back before you can take a step forward?
Well, it seems to be that way. There aren't many details on the exact reason why. As Tommy noted, there might be something off the field that's going on we don't know about. And you know what? It hopefully will be a wake-up call for whatever it is. There'll be a change, and when he comes back, and he will be back, he'll be a different player.
All right, Lomo definitely will be back, and you wouldn't expect him to be happy after the move last night, and he wasn't. His comments courtesy of 790 The Ticket.
All I know is I go out and I give everything for this team. Play hurt, play through injury, and this is how you get treated. Doesn't seem very fair or right to me.
And talk about your 60 ribbies or your
17 home runs? No, they didn't say anything about that. They didn't say anything about maybe the reason that I was hitting 240 is because I was, getting the guy in from third, rolling over, ground balls, not worrying about averages, trying to get the run in and stuff like that. Am I going to say that I've had the best of years, the year that I wanted to have? Absolutely not. But I'm never satisfied. Do I want to play in Florida? Yeah. I want to play for a big league team, and yes, that's the big league team that I'm with now, or the organization that I'm with, so I'm in AAA now, so, yeah, I do. I had no idea what it was. Other than they said we're going to exercise the right to option to AAA, and I was like, I walked out. I was like, I couldn't even say anything at that point. I was so mad. Stand up for what's right, and this happens. I don't understand it.
You're 23, so
age is nothing but a number, man.
a lot of years to go.
It's just not right. I don't know what else to say about that, but it's just not right.
Well, it's never easy when you get sent down when you expect to be an everyday player. Hopefully Logan uses it as motivation rather than something negative. Our motivation today, Jeff and I, is get out of the sun as the Marlins get ready to take on the San Francisco Giants. We close out this 3-game series and a 10-game homestand. Cody Ross back in the house. The Giants, the Marlins. Final game of the series. Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton with all the action coming up next.
By Toyota, moving forward. By AT&T. By Checkers, little place, big taste. And by All Year Cooling, today's comfort, yesterday's prices. Live shot from the Goodyear Blimp, Miami. Of course, just north, you've got Sun Life Stadium. We'll have some terrific footage of the new ballpark throughout our telecast today, courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp. Come on inside where it's hot, hot, hot in Sun Life Stadium. Warren Henry brings you the Giants lineup. Cody Ross is leading off for the second game in a row. Jeff Keppinger had a big home run in the first inning last night. Marlins kept Pablo Sandoval in the yard last night. Nate Shearholtz gets a start in right field. Brandon Belt, who came up and replaced Andres Torres on the roster, gets the start. He's a big left-handed hitting first baseman and a top prospect for the Giants. Orlando Cabrera is at short. Aaron Rowan is out in center field. Eli Whiteside, who started in Game 1, is back here for Game 3. And Ryan Vogelsong, a Cinderella story if ever there was one, is hitting ninth.
I think so much today, Rich, for Chris Volstad is to get off to a good start. I mean, his last start in the big leagues was against the Mets on July 22nd. He was sent down. He had 3 starts in the minor leagues with New Orleans. He was 1-1, had an ERA over 4. Even in one of those starts, he gave up 5 runs in the first inning. If he gets off to a good start, gets that good release point, gets a nice rhythm going, that always helps him. So you'd like to see him do that today.
Cody Ross stands in 1 for 8 in the series, and Chris Volstad with a sinker. Angel Hernandez says strike 1. And if Volstad can live there the rest of the day, he should have some success. We've seen Cody's bat start to come to life in this series. Hit the ball hard last night. He had a single, lined out, and that base hit his only hit of the series. And he has had a real rough patch. Breaking ball, ground ball, pulled foul.
It's been preached so often to Chris Volstad about arm slot, about release point. He knows all that. He's worked on that stuff. That's what he worked on when he went down to AAA. Now he has to apply it with consistency.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Ground ball up the middle. Bonifacio approaches, whips it over to first in time, and Volstad has out number 1 here in the first inning.
And you like the start. Look at all the pitches to Cody Ross, and the way to term it, if he lives there this afternoon with the sinker, he'll have success.
You know, Chris, when he went down to the minor leagues, made 3 starts. His last 2 starts came in maybe the 2 best, or 2 of the best, hitters parks in the Pacific Coast League, down in Tucson and in Las Vegas. He gave up 5 runs and 4 runs in those starts. He did not give up a run in his first start down in AAA. Little looper out into right field, and Jeff Keppinger dumps one into right for a base hit. The Giants have a base runner here in the first, and here come the Marlins defensively.
Make sure you have the dark glasses today. Bright sunshine with Peterson, Cameron, and Stanton in the outfield. Dobbs, Bonifacio, Meziga, and Gabby. Brett Hayes with the start behind the plate, and the defense is brought to you by Warren Henry.
Pablo Sandoval steps in. Sandoval a home run in the first inning 2 nights ago. And he fouls one off. Sandoval's home run for the Giants was their 20th consecutive solo homer, which set a major league record, and Jeff Keppinger added to it last night when he hit a home run, a solo shot. 21 consecutive homers that have been solo shots. The longest streak ever in Major League history.
You're almost happy to see Sandoval foul the first pitch off. I read a note today. On the first pitch, when he puts it in play, he's hitting .367. So he is an aggressive hitter.
Sandoval, certainly, with the loss of Buster Posey, having Sandoval back to where he was 2 years ago has been a big boost to the Giants, because they've obviously missed Posey's offense. And you got to be a real Panda fan to wear the Panda hat here today. A liner into right. Stanton picks it up. Keppinger will stop at second. And Pablo Sandoval with a solid base hit. Up comes Nate Shearholtz. All your cooling comes in handy on a day like this. And they also present our weather from the blimp. 91 degrees, 60% humidity. The UV index over 10. That's extreme. That means as much sunscreen and as high a number as you can get on yourself.
Or if you don't have any sunscreen, you get the panda hat.
That's a good point. I think those are UV tested. Shearholtz now. And he drives on the right, hits it deep. It's down the line. It is foul, and almost in the exact same spot he hit one last night.
Wow, he did. He hit one down there last night that had well home run distance, halfway up into the seats, but just foul.
This is almost an absolute instant replay of last night.
Look at that, halfway up those seats. That's a long way.
I think the one last night was even closer than that one. So here is Shearholtz back in there with a count 0-1. Volstad looking for a ground ball, and he runs that pitch away. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Giants would like to get Shearholtz going too. He's a guy with an outstanding arm, very good defensive outfielder, and a left-handed bat that produces never hurts, especially in the absence of Carlos Beltran. Beltran has missed every game of this series with a sore wrist, and that's game 6 now that Beltran has been on the shelf. And the Giants are kind of approaching that same spot that the Marlins had with Hanley Ramirez. Do you put him on the disabled list, or you try to gut it out? There's the ground ball. Bonifacio, and out there, Meziga's turn, out there. Great pick by Gabby Sanchez, and Volstad rolls the double play and gets out of trouble here in the first. Bottom of the first, Marlins and Giants are underway and scoreless. What a great day to be up in the Goodyear blimp as it buzzes around South Florida, bringing you pictures. The Giants and the Marlins, the Fish, have had an awful homestand, 1-8 on the homestand. They're trying to escape town with a win here. Warren Henry brings you their lineup. Emilio Bonifacio leads it off. Alfredo Amezaga at second. Mike Stanton moves up to the 3 spot, and Greg Dobbs will hit 3rd. Mike Cameron hits 5th. Gabby Sanchez 6th. Brian Peterson's had a nice series. He's in left. Brett Hayes behind the plate, and Volstad hits 9th.
And there is a look at 34-year-old Ryan Vogelsong. It's taken him a long time to put it together. He's had Major League experience before. He pitched in Japan for 3 years, but he's finally figured it out, from what we've been told. Knows how to add and subtract to that fastball. His curveball's improved.
And the funny thing is, he had to go a long ways to come back to the team that originally drafted him before he's paid dividends. That is a foul ball.
Wow, that'd have been a whole lot of trouble because somehow that ball skipped by and skidded by Cody Ross.
Ron Kolpa, the third base umpire, with the call.
He's right there. He's got a better look than we do.
Ooh.
Just foul. A half a baseball the other way, and you see chalk come up.
As it is, Vogelsong out in front 0-2. So the Giants narrowly miss a 3-run homer on the shot by Shearholtz. And Bonifacio nearly misses extra bases, and he fouls it back onto the screen. It's 0-2. Vogelsong was drafted back in '98 out of Kutztown State, a Division II school, in the 5th round by the Giants, and then shipped to the Pirates in the Jason Schmidt trade in 2001. And he strikes out Bonifacio.
And there's that improved curveball, a good one by Vogelsong to get the strikeout. Check on the scouting report brought to you by Coventry Healthcare. Prior to this season in the major leagues, he was 10-22. Varies his speeds very well. And we mentioned 3 years, and they weren't tremendous years. It wasn't like he went over to Japan and became a 15-game winner, but he learned how to pitch.
Amezaga takes a fastball up from Vogelsong. Alfredo has been starting since Omar Infante went down and the Marlins acquired Amezaga. With all the bad injury news that the Fish have had this year, it sounds like Infante is on track and should be able to join the team in San Diego.
What we've been told, it sounds like if everything goes on track, we could see Hanley Ramirez and Omar Infante in San Diego.
Ooh, a high strike to Amezaga, and it's 2-1. The Marlins, of course, the subtraction of Logan Morrison. You see that pitch was up. Logan Morrison and Wes Helms. Helms released, Morrison sent to AAA. Jose Lopez back up. Ozzie Martinez back up. And Amezaga pops that one into right center field. Rowan is over and he makes the catch.
Let's see how the Giants set up defensively with Cody Ross, Rowan, and Shearholtz. Shearholtz with 7 assists in the outfield. Sandoval, Orlando Cabrera, Keppinger, Brandon Belt, the young first baseman, and Eli Whiteside is behind the plate. The defense brought to you by Warren Henry.
Well, one of the questions without Logan Morrison, without Hanley Ramirez, is how much will Mike Stanton see to hit? And he drives that ball to center field and deep. Rowan goes back. It is gone. He saw a fastball and he crushed it.
With 2 out, nobody on base, he's got a much better chance to see something to hit. He decided, you know what, if I see that first pitch and it looks good, I'm going to bomb it off the batting cage in center field. And that's exactly what he did. Wow. High fastball.
That even looked like he got it off the end of the bat. So it's 1-0 Marlins, and here is Dobbs. Dobbs in the cleanup spot. And that pitch misses down low. We've seen Stanton on this homestand be very, very patient. A lot of walks. And as you pointed out, a lot of that has to do with not a lot of protection.
So that and the fact that Gabby's really tapered off as far as his hitting, too.
And so now the hope for the Marlins is to get Hanley back and hopefully get Logan Morrison back. But right now, it's going to be an interesting week and a half for Mike Stanton.
There's a great race in the home run leaders in the National League this year. Mike Stanton just got a little closer. He's tied with Ryan Howard at 26. Ugla, Prince Fielder, Matt Kemp all have 27. Pujols and Berkman have 28.
Dobbs sprays a ground ball into the hole. It's short, and he's going to beat that out. A 2-out single for Dobbs, his second hit of the series. And it brings Mike Cameron up.
Oh, blimp replay.
Love it.
This is great. Get Dobbs going up the line. Once the ball wasn't fielded by Sandoval, it was a hit. The only shot they had was if the third baseman could have picked it.
And here is Mike Cameron. In the absence of Morrison, I think Mike Cameron's importance grows, and the importance of keeping him on the field and keeping him healthy. For Mike, at 38, the wear and tear of playing every day in the big leagues can take its toll. He's been in and out of the lineup with a few nicks here and there. The Marlins do have a couple of infielders, Alfredo Amezaga and Emilio Bonifacio, who can also go out and play in the outfield, but that would mean you'd have to put an Ozzie Martinez into the starting lineup. Marlins have Brian Peterson in left field for this ball game.
You have Dwayne Wise, but I think Jack likes to keep Wise on his bench late in the game. Defense.
One coming to Cameron. And Vogelsong misses outside. Vogelsong, once he got to the Pirates in 2001, had Tommy John surgery and then ended up pitching with the Pirates for some time. But he was out of Major League Baseball for 4 seasons, from 07 through 2010. Cameron pops it out of play. For 3 of those seasons, he was in Japan. And it wasn't like he lit Japan up.
That's right.
Either. His numbers in Japan were quite ordinary. He was 11-14 with a 4.16 ERA. He was released by 2 organizations last year, the Phillies and the Angels. At the AAA level, he was released. And then he signed on with the Giants, a non-roster invitee to spring training. And an all-star now. So what a ride it's been.
Don't tell the Diamondbacks about his all-star status, though. It's a touchy subject. Arizona Diamondbacks fans felt that Ian Kennedy should have been named to the all-star team. Ian Kennedy right now is 15-3 with Arizona, who won last night, and they have a 2-game lead over the Giants.
Dobbs was on the move with the count full and 2 outs. Here's the standings.
Arizona, Rich, is in one of those modes. They can feel it. They got a nice outing from Daniel Hudson last night. J.J. Putz got his 29th save. Ryan Roberts hit his 16th home run. And Kirk Gibson has them moving in the right direction. They beat the Mets last night.
Going to be a fun 6 weeks for those 2 teams down the stretch. Cameron gets another 3-2. Dobbs gets another head start. Mike got jammed and fouls that one over the screen. In the Central, the Cardinals have fallen 5 games back of Milwaukee, with the Brewers having won a couple in a row. They took 2 of 3 from the Cardinals in that series this week.
And the Rockies beat St. Louis last night.
Marlins are headed to Colorado. 3-game series starts tomorrow night. Rockies right now are 9 under. Cameron strikes out. Vogelsong finishes the inning. Mike Stanton starts the day off for the Marlins with about a 430-foot homer to straight center. After the first pitch of Chris Volstad's here in the second. 1-0. Marlins on top on a Mike Stanton home run. Belt arrived yesterday. He's just 21. And Baseball America has him as the #1 prospect in the Giants organization. 5th round pick out of the University of Texas. He was in the big leagues and was hit in the wrist and was put on the disabled list for a month. He fouls that pitch off.
Yeah, this is his 3rd trip. He's kind of been up and down, part of it because of the injury, but his 3rd trip with San Francisco, and quickly he put up some big time numbers in the minor leagues.
Breaking ball, and Volstad dispatches Brandon Belt. Here comes Orlando Cabrera. Aerial coverage for our telecast provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours.
One of these days I'm going up in that blimp with you. I know you've been in it.
I have. It's fun. It's a little scary at first because when the blimp goes up, it doesn't go up parallel like it floats around. The nose sticks straight up, and it's like you're launching a missile.
Slow missile.
Yeah, like a submarine going up. And then when it goes down, same thing. Nose points down, down it goes.
So I could tell the captain to head up to Palm Beach County.
Yeah,
maybe check out to see where my house is.
Pompano Beach is where the hangar is down here.
Yeah.
And I've had a chance to do it a couple of times. The folks at Goodyear are always kind enough to donate a ride for 4 in the Goodyear blimp, and been up a couple of times. And essentially, the captain says, "Where you want to go?" On a hop, Meziga flips it over to first. And he gets the out. There are 2 outs. Have you visited the new Marlins Ballpark sales headquarters in Miami? The luxurious new facility provides fans the opportunity to explore an actual ballpark suite. See all the new amenities and experience a 3D view from any seat in the ballpark. 1-877-411-2012. Make an appointment or go to marlins.com/new ballpark. A reclining Aaron Rowan. Not declining, but reclining.
Sometimes, Rich, you look back at a game and you see a pitch or a play that can turn things around. I know it was early in the game, but I think that double play that Chris got Scherholz to hit into, and it was nicely turned by the Marlins. You'd like to say, okay, that's a moment that's going to get him going in the right direction, and he's gotten a couple of quick outs here in this inning.
One of the things Volstad has going for him this afternoon is a short history, but a good history against the Giants. Chris, against the Giants, has made 3 starts. 1 of them in this ballpark, 2 in San Francisco. He's 1-1 with a 1.71 ERA.
He had a complete game shutout back in 2009 against the Giants. He started that 12-inning game in San Francisco this year and went 6 innings, gave up just a couple of runs. Good job.
A breaking ball, swung on and missed. Rowan goes down. So Volstad 2 scoreless in the books. A 1-0 start for the Fish. It's bottom of the second. Let's check in with Frank Fort. Frank?
Rich, thanks very much. President of Baseball Operations for the Marlins, Larry Beinfest, just addressed the media up in the press box, and specifically the demotion of Logan Morrison to AAA. He said he felt the organization had good, solid reasons to make the move, and that they felt that Logan needs to concentrate, in his words, on all aspects of being a major leaguer. He said, we never expected Logan to be in the 240s as a hitter. There's no timetable for his return, but he has no doubt he will be back in the major leagues. I asked Larry if the organization was in any way down on Logan Morrison. He said it would be unfair to put it that way. They just want him to work on a lot of different things to be the best possible player he can be. And when Larry was asked if Logan, who was thought to be a core player of this franchise, is he still in that model as far as moving forward to the new ballpark in Miami, and Larry Beinfest's response was, I see no reason why he wouldn't be. Rich and Tommy, and one other note, as Gabby Sanchez takes the pitch. On the injury front, he said that they're a little more optimistic that Omar Infante would be back before Hanley Ramirez, and both are eligible to come off the DL. And they're hopeful still that Josh Johnson can pitch at some point in September, because even if it's not a big league game, they want to be very comfortable with where they're at with Josh as they head into the offseason and get ready for 2012. So both Josh and the organization would like to see him pitch on a mound somewhere before this year is out. Guys?
Good stuff, Frank. And you hope that the organization will take the same stance with every player on the 25-man roster as they've taken with Logan Morrison and sending him down because of issues that sounds like he probably had off the field. I don't care about the batting average. He was productive.
Rowan runs it down. Gabby Sanchez lines out to center.
So you want to see the same stance taken against everybody.
Amen. Brian Peterson now, and the irony here is that Peterson and Morrison are best of friends and roommates, and with Morrison gone, Peterson probably will pick up the bulk of the playing time in left field.
Might have to pick up a bulk of the rent too. That's the only problem.
But Peterson has done a nice job, and in this series he's got 4 hits. Vogelsong starts him with a fastball at the knees. Peterson has shown good defense, outstanding speed, and the ability to make contact and spray the ball all over the ballpark. Vogelsong misses in. It's 1-1. It's amazing how a player, as Tommy put it, at 34 finally gets it, because he obviously didn't get it last year when he was in AAA with the Phillies and the Angels.
Yeah, the other thing, he actually started this year in AAA in Fresno with the Giants.
Yeah, this is start for him, number 20.
Of course, he went 2-0 with a 1.59 ERA in a couple of starts.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, he gets it, but somebody must have helped him get it. Peterson hustling there, and Keppinger throws him out, whether it was Dave Righetti or someone in the Giants organization or somebody that he worked with in the offseason.
By the way, a quick chat with the Giants pitching coach Dave Righetti today. Remember last night we talked about how he had told us Lincecum at times will work from the stretch. One of the reasons he did it in the game last night was to conserve energy because of the heat and the humidity. And we had mentioned that, of course, Lincecum being from the Northwest. And so he conserved a little energy and threw 7 strong innings.
He did not look like the heat or the humidity affected him at all. Brett Hayes now. Hayes getting the start. He's never faced the Giants. His last start was last Sunday. He doubled in that ball game, and as Hayes has shown throughout the year, he has had the knack to come up with a big hit or contribute offensively in the ball games in which he's appeared. And when you do that as a backup catcher, that's an enormous boost to your ball club. Two-0 to Hayes.
I think one thing Brett Hayes, and you and I have talked about it, has established this year is that he is a quality backup major league catcher. Certainly belongs here.
Chris Volstad on deck. Here's a 3-0 pitch. Fastball strike. Hayes very athletic. In Nevada, he was an infielder. Of course, at Notre Dame High School, same high school as Mike Stanton. We were talking about that the other day with the Cardinals catcher Tony Cruz, a guy that the Cardinals liked and was an infielder, and they moved him behind the plate, and he has a lot of the same traits as Hayes does. Vogelsong fell behind 3-0. He's come back to go 3-2 with the pitcher on deck. Hayes lines it up the middle on a hop. A nice running play by Orlando Cabrera. 1-2-3 inning for Ryan Vogelsong. Right now, a Mike Stanton home run is the difference. Presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Fish. Chris Volstad facing the Giants, and he has a 1-0 lead thanks to Mike Stanton, who drove a Ryan Vogelsong fastball about 430 feet off the batting cage beyond the center field wall. Eli Whiteside, Vogelsong himself, and then top of the order Cody Ross in the sun, in the heat at Sun Life Stadium. Whiteside drives one down the left field line. That's off the base of the wall, picked up by Peterson. Got a shot at second. Great throw. He's gone. How about that? What a throw by Brian Peterson. An absolute laser beam.
Man, it all starts with him playing the ball well. Feet are in the right position as he picks it up. He gets in a great position to come up with that strong throw. A perfect throw. Whiteside has no chance. As a runner, you're running and you see that. You say, uh-oh, I've got no chance. Let me try a trick slide. No chance. Perfect throw by Petey.
So it's a single. And Peterson to a Mezika for the out. Here is Vogelsong. Volstad gets a strike on that sinker.
You know, we've talked, Rich, about the arms in the Giants outfield with Cody Ross, Rowan, and Shearholtz. Marlins have some pretty good arms out there, too.
Yes, they do.
With Peterson and Mike Cameron and Mike Stanton.
Vogelsong fouls it back, and it's 2-2. Marlins heading to Colorado and to San Diego. The Giants go to Atlanta for a 4-game series. And, you know, coming into this series and this road trip, the Giants had not played well against the Braves or the Marlins. The Marlins have won 4 of the 5 against the Giants. As Vogelsong walks, Volstad walks the pitcher. Here is Cody Ross.
So the Giants are going to go in there with Bumgarner, Jonathan Sanchez, couple of lefties, and Matt Kamen Lincecum to try to shut down Dan Uggla.
Tim Hudson, to be announced. Jair Jurgens and Mike Minor are scheduled for the Braves.
Well, part of that to be announced. What did you read about Tommy Hanson today?
Hanson on the disabled list.
Yeah.
Brian McCann off the disabled list. Toyota trend in this one. Bruce Bochy and the Giants. 11 wins against the National League East. Ties the 05 Giants for the fewest wins against the East since divisional play started in '69. Volstad's fallen behind Ross now at 2-0.
Well, the difference: Giants 11-17 against the East. Arizona 13-8.
Cody jumps on one, lines it to left. That's deep. That's gone. We had the feeling in the first game of the series that Cody Ross, who was hitting 140 since the All-Star break, was starting to come out of it. And you could see in the balls that he hit, they got harder and harder. And here, this one gets out.
Watch where this is. Fox tracks up. Remember, we sold all those pitches down. He threw to Cody the first time up. Cody's been on a lot of pitches in this series, so you knew it was a matter of time. What really hurts in this inning is the walk to Vogelsong.
Absolutely, especially after Peterson.
And finally, the Giants get a home run that's not a solo shot.
2-run shot for Ross, his 9th of the season.
After 21 consecutive solo home runs, the Giants get a 2-run homer.
For Volstad, the 17th home run he's given up. This is start number 21 in the big leagues. Chopper, a Meziga, and Alfredo makes the play.
The fun thing for us to do now will be to watch and see how Cody Ross hits in Atlanta, knowing that it looks like he's about to go on one of those streaks.
Pablo Sandoval now. And a roller foul. So Cody Ross homering. A Mike Stanton solo shot, a 2-run homer by Cody Ross. Those are the runs on the board today. What do you think they packed that helmet in?
A real big baggie. Oh, nice breaking ball. Get ahead. Sandoval will chase that pitch every time.
But he fell behind Cody Ross after walking the pitcher. A 2-0 fastball and a 2-1 lead for the Giants. 2-1 lead in the Cleveland Clinic third inning. Tickets of America poll question. MVP for the Giants so far this season. Aubrey Huff, Tim Lincecum, Pablo Sandoval, Ryan Vogelsong, or Brian Wilson. Of those names, I got to go with Vogelsong.
I got to go with Brian Wilson.
Okay. Where would the Giants be without Brian Vogelsong's 9 wins? I mean, it's a team that is rich with starting pitching, and certainly that's the strength of the Giants, and that shown brightly in the postseason.
And offensively, they don't really have anybody that's having a team MVP type of year.
But to all of a sudden unearth a guy like Vogelsong and have him go to the All-Star game, be as dominant as he has been. Volstad swings and misses, and it's 0-2. He doesn't qualify for the ERA lead. He's just an inning shy of qualifying. His ERA coming in at 2.48 would be second lowest in the National League, 5th best in the big leagues. And he puts away Volstad, much like I'm sure Volstad wishes he had put away Vogelsong. So 3 strikeouts for Vogelsong, his first time through the Marlins lineup, and that included Emilio Bonifacio in the first.
The other thing, Vogelsong has been getting a little more support than, let's say, a Matt Cain.
Yeah.
You go back, his last 5 wins, the Giants have outscored the opposition 35-11. But I see your point.
He actually lost his last start, and that was...
He didn't pitch well.
No, his first loss in 13 starts.
His first loss of the season was to the Marlins.
That's right. Well, that was in the Wild series in San Francisco.
That was in that 1-0 game, the complete game that Anibal Sanchez pitched. But Vogelsong pitched well, gave up just 1 run in 8 innings, but took the loss.
1-1. Bonifacio off of Vogelsong's foot, and Cabrera's throw, he's out at first. Wow, Bonifacio had himself a base hit, a skate save by Vogelsong. And there are 2 outs.
Well, that's just a bad break. This ball goes into center field, if not for off the heel. And well put, a skate save. Nice big tall first baseman, and Brandon Belt. He's able to stay with that high throw, but did he have his foot on the bag? Did he have his foot on the bag?
Yep, looks like the toe is just
before, then it came off, just as he made the catch. So it helps to have that big tall first baseman. And that's a 1.63 put out.
Belt is 6'5". Here's a Meziga. Because the Giants' rotation, obviously with Lincecum and Cain, you have Madison Bumgarner, Jonathan Sanchez, and Barry Zito, whom the Giants are paying handsomely and will continue to pay handsomely. Zito actually signed through 2013. The Giants still owe Zito right around $50 million. And he's essentially on the disabled list. Kind of questionable whether he's injured or not. But the Giants, I think, are in a quandary as to what to do with him. That's a high strike on a 3-0 pitch. Meziga was walking towards first base.
We've seen a few high strikes called.
That's out of the zone, especially on a 3-0 pitch.
Because sometimes, first of all, that hurts you as a hitter, and sometimes it gets a pitcher and gives his confidence back. He gets right back in a groove.
And Ameziga goes after the 3-1 pitch and pops it up. And it is caught by Cody Ross. So the Marlins scoreless in the third, 2-1 Giants. We'll be back after this Athlete 360 Minute presented by Cleveland Clinic of Florida. The adrenaline, the energy, the new Marlins ballpark, a state-of-the-art venue unlike any other with a retractable roof for air-conditioned comfort, all overlooking downtown Miami. New Marlins ballpark is opening next spring. 1-877-411-2012 or go to marlins.com. Those are shots from the Goodyear blimp. As you can see, the roof is assembled, the fabric on top of the roof being applied. And now that the roof is complete, they can really turn their attention to everything underneath the roof and all the finished work and the seats and the sections. High fly ball, right center field. That ball's well hit. That ball is gone. Nate Schierholtz, and Chris Volstad has given up another home run.
Well, remember, Schierholtz came a few feet away from hitting a home run back in the first inning. He pulled one foul. And certainly had home run distance. For Chris Volstad, 18 home runs allowed, a couple of them today. Cody Ross and now Nate Schierholtz.
Brandon Belt now coming up. And the Giants are back into their solo homer ways. They got a 2-run shot from Cody Ross. Now Schierholtz hits his 8th. Belt takes in 1-1. Sharp ground ball finds Ameziga. And there's one out. All right, the trivia question brought to you by AT&T as always. Who holds the record for most consecutive opening day starts for the Giants?
All right, is that as a pitcher or as an everyday player? A player.
Oh, player. That's a fair ball. Cabrera shoots it down the right field line. Stanton over to pick it up. Cabrera's on his way to second, and he'll get there with a double. So the Giants are barreling some balls up here against Chris Volstad.
We talked about Chris Volstad having to live in that lower half of the strike zone. Upper half, he gets hurt and out over the plate. Orlando Cabrera, for a long time, he's 36 years old. He's hit that pitch well.
Now Rowand, who struck out back in the second, has a couple of hits in the series. and a career average hovering around 340 against the Marlins. All right, most opening day starts for the San Francisco Giants, or is it Giants franchise? San Francisco.
Oh, Bonds started a lot of opening days.
Back to the mound. Volstad has it, and he gets Rowan. But remember, Bonds started his career
in
Pittsburgh. So, I mean, you got to think Mays, who was a Giant from the time they moved until Mays went to the Mets.
Got to think Willie McCovey.
That's the first time we've had that sound effect. So it's not Mays or McCovey or Bonds. We've been told that was just a McCovey. It wasn't McCovey.
Okay, how about we always just like to say Tito Fuentes.
How about Willie Mays? Yes, thank you. I got the bell. That's a new addition to the AT&T trivia question.
Now, I'm confused. Is that sound going out over the air, or is that just in our head?
No, it's going out over the air.
Because sometimes there are sounds that just go in our head. Of course, that happens at night, too, even when I'm not here.
That's what happens to the crack staff at the end of a 1-8 homestand. All right, now Vogelsong was a key at bat in the third inning. Remember, Volstad walked him before Cody Ross jacked one into the seats. Fastball at 92, and it's 0-2. You got Ross waiting on deck with a couple of Giants out there. Cabrera at second, Whiteside at first. Nice play by Brett Hayes. Runner going. Cabrera got a huge jump. Ball's in the dirt, and that allows Whiteside to take second. Boy, just an awful sequence there. Volstad not even paying attention to Cabrera, who had a walking, stumbling lead away from second.
Well, we look at how he just gets that walking lead and just takes off. I mean, you have to pay some attention to the runner. And as mentioned before, Orlando Cabrera, a veteran player.
So he strikes out Vogelsong, and that finishes the inning, leaving a pair of Giants in scoring position. Nate Shearhold's homer makes it 3-1. Baseball brought to you by Florida Power and Light. FPL is working to make its systems stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient. Visit FPLConnect.com and learn more. By Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. We see some rain in the area. Hopefully it's not headed this way. Our shots from the Goodyear blimp. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Now, obviously many of you have, in fact all of you I'm sure have heard the news. Wes Helms released. Logan Morrison sent down to AAA. Regardless of the details around Logan Morrison, you're a guy that played in the big leagues and got sent down to the minor leagues. For these next 2 weeks, how does Logan Morrison approach it?
I think in us knowing Logan Morrison, he's going to approach it professionally, and I think he's going to go down there and play just as hard as he played when he was here. And he will be back. There's only a few more weeks left of the minor league season, and when their season is over, Lomo will be back in this lineup. So I don't see any other reason for him to approach it another way. And knowing him, I know he'll approach it the right way.
Well, the Giants' approach in this ballgame has been to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Cody Ross, a 2-run homer. Nate Schierholtz, who just missed one on a foul ball, hit a solo shot in the fourth. And the man at the plate has the Marlins' only run. Mike Stanton hit one about 430 feet with the only pitch that he saw against Vogelsong in the first. Let's see if he challenges him again. Yeah, he came in low and inside.
But he did go with the fastball.
Our Gunther Volkswagen drive of the game. And it gave the Marlins a short-lived 1-0 lead. Vogelsong dots the outside corner.
You know, it's a young career for Mike Stanton, but he's hit 3 home runs in his career against the Giants, and he came in with a .375 career average against San Francisco.
Vogelsong really working down to Stanton, and it's 1-2. You wonder how many Ryan Vogelsongs are out there, Tommy, bouncing around in AAA.
Well, that's what keeps guys around, because you never know.
There's the 1-2. Outside corner. Down goes Stanton.
For some reason, I think Mike, even with 2 strikes, thought he was going to get a breaking ball and just couldn't react to that fastball.
All right, despite the sound effects, here's the trivia answer to the AT&T trivia question. Most consecutive opening day starts for the San Francisco Giants from 58 to 72. Seal Stadium, where the Giants played.
Where they originally moved to, yeah, in 1958.
And then Candlestick Park opened. The legend of Candlestick Park, which was one of the coldest places on Earth, aside from the set of Ice Station Zebra, if you ever saw that old movie, on the North Pole. Dobbs, a broken bat roller, and over is Vogelsong. The legend has it that the owner of the Giants at the time, they were looking to find a spot to build a stadium.
Was that Horace Stoneham?
I believe it was. And one afternoon, they went out to Candlestick Point. When they went out there, it was beautiful sunshine, a little bit of a breeze, but the land was cheap. There was nobody out there. Lots of room to build not only a stadium, but in those days, important that you have lots of parking around it. And they thought, this is a great place for a stadium. They didn't go there at 8 o'clock at night when the wind was blowing.
They probably went there in October or November, too.
Now, as they started to build Candlestick, they realized, hey, it's going to get cold here. And so they constructed an elaborate system that was supposed to warm the seats in much of the seating bowl. And the stadium opened, and they turned on the lever, and it didn't work.
It was in the 70s and 80s. They had some of the greatest promotional spots.
The Croix de Candlestick.
Of people coming to Candlestick with snow gear on.
They used to give out the little button, the Croix de Candlestick, that if you hung in there for a Giants night game, you get an award. They had the anti-mascot as well, the Crazy Crab.
Crazy Crab. And now you see what a remarkable turnaround to where they play now. Sellout crowds just about every night. AT&T Park, one of the most beautiful ballparks in baseball.
Without a doubt. So much so that their rivals to the south, the Dodgers, who everyone feels that in the move west got the better half of the deal in terms of stadium and all of that, the tables are turned now because it's the Dodgers who are struggling mightily financially, image-wise in Los Angeles, and it's the Giants who are the kings of the hill right now, one of the great flagship franchises in baseball.
Certainly the kings of the Bay with the way things are over in Oakland.
Giants have been to the World Series twice in the new ballpark. Remember, they lost to the then Anaheim Angels. Cameron busts his bat. Keppinger runs it down and makes the catch. And they went to the World Series twice at Candlestick, losing to Oakland and the Yankees. By a pair of home runs, a two-run shot by the man at the plate, Cody Ross, and a solo homer by Nate Schierholtz that opened the fourth inning. And the San Francisco Giants have a 3-1 lead. Volstad with a high strike, and that got him in trouble against Ross, who hammered one off the facing of the bleachers above the left field wall. 0-2.
We were talking about Cody Ross getting on a little streak, and the Giants going to Atlanta. Cody's a .319 career hitter at Turner Field.
Ross and Ugla both were great hitters in that ballpark.
Our crack staff on top of things on this Sunday.
And the Braves are on top of the Cubs 1-0 in the bottom of the second. Right back to Volstad, and he fires it over to first. Time now for the Keep Your Edge Spotlight, brought to you by Just for Men Mustache and Beard. This was the pitch. This was the result. Cody Ross's 39th career homer in this stadium. Just as Ross gives the Giants the edge, you too can keep your edge with Just for Men Mustache and Beard.
And by the way, in that Braves-Cubs game, Dan Ugla with a sac fly for the only run of the game. By the way, on Kids Sunday, Rich, do we have kids as part of our crack staff?
As to the extent that labor laws allow us to, Tommy.
Good.
Bonifacio throws to first in time.
Good disclaimer.
Yeah. You got to be careful.
You don't want to say the kids on the crack staff were here at 4 a.m.
Right. Right. We haven't given them lunch. See, John Tuitu, one of the kids.
He's a kid at heart. He's a kid at heart. He was here at 3:30 a.m.
Yeah, right. And we talk about the players having to play in this heat, and our camera folk and technicians have to run around in this heat all day. Sandoval swings and misses. Now Frank Ford is well conditioned, so this is not a problem.
The well-conditioned, finely tuned athlete.
Yeah, see, look.
Yeah, see. It's his own personal fan.
It's my own personal. John Tuitu is my manservant for the moment.
Look at that.
Yep, that's right. So everybody except Frank has to battle the elements here, and we certainly appreciate all of their help. And
you guys obviously didn't see the pregame show, battling the elements.
There's the 1-2 pitch. It's fouled off. The point I'm getting to is we're looking forward to the new ballpark, and our entire Fox Sports Florida crew is looking forward to getting indoors, into the AC, into that cool little ballpark. 1-2.
Like a nice Sunday afternoon game such as today. There's the countdown. 15 more after today. You'll be inside. It'll be nicely controlled temperature. Mid-70s, I would guess.
You see the parking garages look just about finished. The roof itself complete except for the white fabric that has been applied on some of the panels. Read a note that there are more seats in the upper deck of this stadium. The upper deck of this stadium, there are more seats than there will be in that ballpark.
That's incredible. The times we've visited, we've been able to see that wherever you sit, you're going to have a great vantage point of a baseball game.
It will be the highest percentage in all of baseball of lower level seats in a ballpark, and of course it'll be the smallest capacity ballpark, 36,000 seating, 1,000 standing room only. Two is fouled off.
Sandoval, as we've mentioned in this series, a tough guy to strike out and a tough guy to walk.
Yeah. But a fun guy to watch play. He's a bundle of energy.
And a fan favorite out in San Francisco, without a doubt.
Still just 24. That's where Volstad went earlier to get a strikeout in the third inning. He did not have the best of years last year. Hit just 268, 13 homers. And he strikes out here. So Volstad goes 1-2-3 through the Giants in the fifth. We're halfway through with the Fish down 3-1. much will Mike Stanton? It is hot in Sun Life Stadium. The San Francisco Giants and the Florida Marlins finishing off a 3-game series. Our entire Fox Sports Florida crew. John Sulser's our producer. Jim Hawley, our director. Ken Lee, our graphics coordinator. We're headed to the Rocky Mountains for 3, to San Diego for 4. But the Marlins certainly would like to win this ball game and at least get 2 wins on what has been a nightmare of a homestand, a 1-8 homestand.
And they'd like to finish off the year well against the Giants. The Marlins have won 4 or 5 games against San Francisco.
Gabby Sanchez, Brian Peterson, and Brett Hayes against Ryan Vogelsong, who snaps off a great curveball 0-2.
Now, I know, Rich, you always like to check with me, and I check the weather services. We're going to have temperatures around 90 in Denver, but in the mid-60s in the evening. It's always nice and dry. So certainly not the humidity we have here.
0-2. Gabby hits it to center and hits it deep. Rowan back, and he'll have room.
And then, of course, San Diego, it's always 75 degrees.
By the way, your note about Uggla, and I'm just checking in on the Braves. They've tacked on a couple more runs and have a 3-0 lead. As you noted, Uggla has a sacrifice fly in the ball game. A sacrifice fly, say he walks 3 times from here on out, the hitting streak, I believe, is over.
Or gets hit.
Or gets hit. The sacrifice fly does not extend a hitting streak.
If you walk 4 times, or if you got hit a couple times, walk 2 times, then the streak is still alive.
Right.
But a sac fly, that's right.
Brian Peterson in the air to center field, and Rowan makes the catch. Vogelsong, since he's had the lead, has been all over the zone, pounding strikes and getting outs. The next Corona Marlins watch party is coming up on Wednesday, August 17th at the Sports Grill on Bird Road in Miami. The Marlins and the Rockies at 8:40. Meet Billy the Marlin and the Mermaids. Win tickets and autographed memorabilia and enjoy specials of Corona and Corona Light. Here's Brett Hayes now. And that high strike has been a strike all day long. Hayes bounced to short back in the second. Marlins have just 2 hits. One of them, the Mike Stanton home run.
Well, the Marlins last night did not fare well in the hit department. Just 3 base hits. Of course, Tim Lincecum had a lot to do with that.
Vogelsong out in front now, 1-2.
Vogelsong in 2004 with the Pittsburgh Pirates was 6-13 with an ERA of 6.5.
Check swing, no swing. It's 2-2. That's amazing. The fact that he not only comes back, but he makes the All-Star team. The only other player to make an All-Star team his first season after returning from 4 seasons away was 1946, a guy named Mickey Harris. Vogelsong catches the corner and strikes out Hayes. Boy, Ryan Vogelsong has been sharp, and the Giants have a 3-1 lead. check in with Frank Fort. Frank?
All right, thanks very much, Rich. You remember our poll question last night had to do with what's the best band out of the Bay Area? And one of the selections was the Grateful Dead. Well, Giants third base coach Tim Flannery, who's a singer-songwriter in his own right, on a recent Giants homestand, got to sing the national anthem with two former members of the Grateful Dead, Bob Weir and Phil Lesh. He said he was more nervous doing that than anything he'd done as a ball player because, Flannery explained to me, it was three-part harmony a cappella, and they only had a chance to run through it once on the day of that game where they sang the national anthem. Now, Flannery comes from a very musical family. He's part of a musical group called The Enablers. They're a bluegrass band. They've produced 12 studio albums. He said everybody in his family has been involved in music. He has a brother, he told me, who sings opera in 3 different languages. So big thrill for Tim Flannery to sing the national anthem with two former members of the Grateful Dead. Rich and Tommy?
Flannery, a member of the San Diego Padres as a player, as a coach, and a longtime member of the Giants staff, is one of the more colorful guys in the game.
He's made a lot of recordings. He has a band.
That is a terrific promotional night in San Francisco, the Grateful Dead night.
How'd the Grateful Dead fare in our poll last night, by the way?
They came in second.
Second to Journey?
Journey. It's a younger crowd, Tommy. I don't think Creedence Clearwater raised the needle at all. I thought Green Day would do a little bit better with the younger crowd. They finished third. Down goes Shearholtz, and that's an accomplishment. He had homered earlier in the ball game. Road trip, Rocky Mountains, here we come. All the games in high definition on Fox Sports Florida. Tulo will be there. Dexter Fowler, Cargo, the rest of the Rockies, and then it's on to San Diego. San Diego, where Cameron Maben is playing well.
See if the Marlins can cool him off after that series he had here.
That ball's driven deep to left center field, and Brandon Belt has hit it out. Third home run allowed by Chris Bolstad. Third home run this year by Brandon Belt. And that's big boy territory for a left-handed hitter to go out in the triangle. That's quite a jolt.
If you're a right-handed hitter and hit one out there, it's quite a jolt. But a pitch up, we talked about Volstad living down. If he lives down, he has success. Up there, no success. And Belt had 8 home runs in AAA, and he's kind of been up and down, so he hasn't really gotten in a groove, but he showed his power there.
Cabrera bounces to third. Dobbs makes the play. And the Giants have a 4-1 lead. 2 solo homers. Giants have been living on solo homers, and the 2-run shot by Cody Ross.
By the way, we're talking about that poll, Rich. I'm driving home. I thought of another Bay Area, and surprised we didn't see his group or his name on the poll list. Huey Lewis.
Huey Lewis in the news. Now, I have to be honest with you, Tommy. I contributed to that poll, and Huey Lewis was in the others receiving votes category.
Okay.
You know, like in the USA Today top 25 teams that are others receiving votes.
Others receiving votes.
Just about to crack the top 25.
Didn't quite crack the top 5.
We could only put 5 bands on there.
I understand. Jefferson Starship is in that.
Santana.
Ooh.
See, there's another one.
See, I'm giving my age. I'd have had Santana, Huey Lewis, Grateful Dead.
Well, who would you have taken out of that?
Green Day.
I knew that was coming.
I would not have taken Journey out.
Right. What about Creedence Clearwater?
Yeah, I would have had them in there. See, my list would have been about 8.
That's it. The list was about 8. That was the problem. There's a lot of great bands. I think as Jeff Conine even threw Metallica in there.
Yeah, did not know.
Counting Crows was on my list. Here's the 2-2. That's a strike at the letters, but the Giants get another home run. Brandon Belt, Nate Shearholtz, and Cody Ross have all homered, and that has built San Francisco a 4-1 lead.
vía SAP y es presentado por KFC.
Joe and Cookie on the other side. Hi, guys.
Hi, Richie, Tommy, how you guys doing?
How you guys doing?
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. We would have liked to have seen Chris Volstad keep more of those two-seamers down in the zone. Every time he gets up, he gets hurt.
Tommy, that's exactly what we were talking on the air, too, that every pitch that he threw was right bell high. And, you know, those hitters in the big leagues are not going to miss too many of those. You got to stay down on the zone. And, you know, he wasn't welcomed too much by the Giants.
On the other hand, guys, you have to really be impressed with what we've seen from Ryan Vogelsong, a guy who has resurrected his career at 34 and seemingly is the real deal because he's kept it up all year long.
I think that one thing that he did is when he went to Japan for 4 years and learned how to pitch with the Japanese, you know, they throw strikes. There's no question about it. And he has been around the strike zone, the curveball, the fastball, the changeup that's missing very well his pitches. And I think that's the big difference.
Not easy going 9-2.
No. And making the All-Star team. Dwayne Wise hits a fly ball to the left. Cody Ross is back there, and Ross makes the catch. So Wise hitting for Volstad. Guys, have a good rest of the game, and we'll see you in about 9 days.
Well, I know you guys are going to be okay because on the road, you guys always bring a lot of wins over here. So welcome and hurry back here.
Yes.
All right,
please
guys.
do.
Have a good one.
We're just along for the ride. We saw Badenhop in the bullpen. Now the top of the order. Bonifacio's 0 for 2. That's one of the things Vogelsong has done well. He's kept both Bonifacio and Amezaga off base.
But he's not walked the batter today.
Though when he faced Bonifacio at last, he could thank his, was it left heel that he kicked back, knocking down a hard smash up the middle, and Cabrera ended up getting it at short and throwing Bonifacio out. Emilio trying to slap that one by the charging Sandoval at third.
That's almost a decision. He squares, and then he sees how the infield is moving, and he's either going to try to slap it by Sandoval or maybe pull it to the right side and drag it up that way.
Little ground ball to second, and Bonifacio 0 for 3. And the Marlins have been mowed down since the single by Greg Dobbs. Ryan Vogelsong has not allowed a base runner. 15 in a row he's set down.
Yeah, a little cutter that last pitch. He utilizes that. Got in on the hands a little to Bonifacio.
Amezaga has flied out, popped out. And Vogelsong throws a strike. Vogelsong as well is at just 73 pitches here in the bottom of the 6th. So he's cruising. He's thrown one complete game this year, and he's got the stuff right now in the pitch count where getting his second complete game is within sight. He's out in front of Amezaga 0-2. Dan Uggla, by the way, 0 for 1 with a sacrifice fly. The Braves lead the Cubs 3-0 in the 4th. It's where the Giants head for a 4-game series in Atlanta. Vogelsong just blows Amezaga away. 16 in a row set down. 8-pitch inning. Dominating stuff for the 34-year-old. Burke Badenhop. Look at all the cameras. Everybody working hard. All eyes are on Badenhop now as the hopper comes in and tries to keep it at 4-1. The Giants have hit 3 balls out of the park, and they've all been no doubters. Cody Ross's, Nate Schierholtz, and Brandon Belt. Schierholtz in an earlier at bat hit one with 2 runners on that was about 20 rows up and just fouled, just like last night as well.
Yeah, he's been locked in with some pretty good swings.
So Badenhop takes over for Volstad. Eli Whiteside. Whiteside and Chris Stewart have been splitting the duties in the absence of Buster Posey. Whiteside has a premature graying. If you see him without his hat on, his hair is almost all gray. It's in his early 30s.
You go into the clubhouse, you think he might be a part of the coaching staff.
I did. That's why I had. I was curious to know who that was, and then he turned around and I saw the number. I said, oh, that's Whiteside. Very good defensive catcher, and he has a hit today. He's 1 for 2. And here's Vogelsong, who helped his own cause by drawing a walk in front of the Cody Ross 2-run homer. Ross's 2-run homer snapped the Major League record 21 consecutive solo homer streak that the Giants were on. But they've started another streak, because after Ross's 2-run homer, they've hit 2 solo homers. And Vogelsong gets hit, throws the bat, and Hayes is right in his grill.
That's the last thing Burke Badenhop is trying to do, is to hit Vogelsong. I'm sure his reaction is just because of the instant pain.
Now Vogelsong and Gabby Sanchez are having a heated discussion at first base.
I mean, when you start thinking about the whole situation, first of all, that's not the guy you're going to hit. Secondly, why would you hit him to put the pitcher on to get Cody Ross to the plate? There's all kinds of things that just say that pitch got away from Burke Badenhop.
Well, Vogelsong certainly will have the ball in his hands when he gets to the bottom of the 7th.
And I'd also, if I were Vogelsong, be careful of what I said to Gabby, especially if you saw Gabby clothesline Nigel Morgan.
Now let's watch and listen again. Ross hits a line drive into left field. That's a base hit. Over for it is Peterson. And so Vogelsong will stop at second. Ross has his second hit. I mean, the first thing that flashes when you see that discussion between Hayes and Vogelsong, at least to me, is the Marlins and the Giants have played 3 games in this series, and if you'll go back to late May and the entire Buster Posey incident, there was obviously a lot of anger coming from the Giants organization directed at not only Scott Cousins but also at the Marlins. We showed you the quote from Cody Ross, and every player on both sides said coming into this series that that was water that was long under the bridge, and that there really wasn't any hard feelings left. But I'm with you. I mean, if you're Badenhop, the last thing you want to do is put Vogelsong on. It was a mistake that Volstad made when he walked him back in the third, and Ross hit the 2-run homer. Now he's in scoring position, and the 1-1 pitch is outside.
And it really looks like the hopper isn't perfect right now. It doesn't look like he's as sharp as we usually see him when he comes in.
Keppinger taps it down the third baseline. And really, in the 3 games that we've seen, there has been no animosity. There has been no carryover from those games of 2 months ago.
I mean, Mike Stanton was hit last night, but that was no intent. When Lincecum's part, it was after a walk, and he was kind of trying to settle in the game.
Badenhop with a count 2-2 to Keppinger. He misses down low, and it's 3-2. And if you're Badenhop, this is a guy you want to go after because you got Pablo Sandoval on deck. He's homered this series. You got Nate Schierholtz after him. He's homered in this ball game on a day where the Giants have hit 3 homers. Hit hard. Dobbs out there. Amezaga's turn is in time. And so Badenhop gets a ground ball, and the inning is over. Of the 7th, Brian Vogelsong has been splendid so far for the Giants, and he was just hit by that fastball. Angel Hernandez is out there to talk to him. Now, you saw in the replay, he held up the 3 fingers almost as saying, hey, it's 3 times you've come inside on me. And so we went back and took a look at some of his earlier bats.
Just a failure to complete that pitch through. Took it inside from Volstad. The 2 pitches by the hopper just not as sharp. And you can understand why a pitcher gets upset. There he goes 3 times. But trust me, if you're going to go after somebody, it's not going to be Vogelsong. It's going to be one of their hitters. And there's no reason to do that anyway. But he's been tremendous. First 2 innings, he threw 35 pitches. He's thrown 40 pitches in the last 4 innings, and he's retired, as you pointed out last inning, 16 in a row now.
And I'm sticking with my pick on the poll question, Tommy. I think he's the Giants MVP this year. Because I think without him, he has picked up the void left by Barry Zito's ineffectiveness. Jonathan Sanchez hasn't been the same guy as last year. But Vogelsong all of a sudden makes the Giants a lot stronger in a rotation that was already very, very good.
Well, you have Lincecum and Kane, and then Madison Bumgarner, the young lefty. You're right, Vogelsong right there. Sanchez is in and out with some inconsistency.
You can present your Miccosukee Ultimate Reward Players Club card at the stadium box office starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game and get a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming, get in the game. Aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear.
And by the way, you saw that conversation with Angel Hernandez going out there. He just doesn't want anything to escalate from Vogelsong being hit by that pitch.
There was no warning issued. Mike Stanton now against Vogelsong. And his first pitch is inside. And that spins Stanton. And it's 1-0.
Now, if he hits Mike Stanton, you know there's some intent involved.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's like a batting practice fastball there for a strike, and it's 1-1. Stanton's home run was to center field. Vogelsong struck him out his next time up. Mike lifts one in the air. Shearholt's a long run, and it lands just beyond his reach.
Yeah, he's playing deep. He's playing over in right center, so he had a long way to go.
"16 in a row retired by Ryan Vogelsong, and again his pitch count is still quite low. He's at 78 pitches here in the 7th inning. Struck him out, threw the fastball by him.
When he's needed, he's been able to elevate that fastball, and it's very similar to what Lincecum did last night. He even has a better fastball, but get 2 strikes. The Giants have done that this series. They've elevated fastballs to go after hitters.
JM Lexus presents leaders of the game. This is a list you don't want to be on. Fewest runs per game in the month of August. The Giants at 242. The Marlins right behind him. JM Lexus Price Minutes #1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. Here's Dobbs now. Greg has singled and has bounced out.
Maybe that's exactly what the Marlins need. A 3-game series at Coors Field.
Well, they need something, and it obviously hasn't happened in this stadium this year. The Marlins have one of the worst home-road differentials in a long time in Major League Baseball. A very good road team, but just a horrendous team in this ballpark. 15 games under at home. And on the road, the Marlins are 8 over. If you, at the start of the season, if you were to say, hey, your ball club would be 8 over on the road, and you were midway through August, you would think, hey, the club's probably got a shot to be in a race.
Now they also had that dismal homestand in June, 1-10, playing Milwaukee, Atlanta, and Arizona.
Well, Vogelsong keeps throwing like he's throwing today. It's going to be a 1-9 homestand.
2 homestands where you go 2-19.
Wow. Dobbs drives it to right. His second hit of the ball game. And that snaps 16 in a row that Vogelsong has set down. Actually, 17 in a row.
Every game, you just enjoy watching the approach and the game plan that Greg Dobbs has when he goes up there. And he's got himself an infield base hit and a line drive hit today.
Here's Mike Cameron now. Cameron has struck out and popped out. You got Gabby Sanchez on deck. And Cameron takes a strike. Seven strikeouts for Vogelsong. And he has not walked anyone. Around this stadium, there is some nasty looking weather. We showed you the shot from the blimp. The blimp actually is headed back to the hangar because of it. Foul tip and held by Whiteside. That's a heck of a play by the Giants catcher. For the 8th strikeout for Ryan Vogelsong.
Kind of a hanger, and a nice job by Whiteside. That ties a season and career high for Vogelsong with 8 strikeouts.
So Gabby, who lined one to deep center field. Breaking ball, strike. Boy, the command that Vogelsong has right now is just incredible. He has spotted his fastball. His breaking ball has been sharp, crisp, down in the zone. Hasn't hung anything. Gabby hits a fly ball to left field. Ross comes in, playing the sun, makes the catch. Marlins get a base hit from Dobbs, but that's it. Vogelsong is cruising. Ryan Vogelsong has been splendid in this one. The Giants have hit 3 homers, and Frank Fort has this. Frank?
All right, guys, thanks very much. We have not seen Giants infielder Mark DeRosa this series. He's still battling back from some wrist injuries. He was a multi-sport athlete at Bergen Catholic High School in Oradell, New Jersey, went on to play baseball at the University of Pennsylvania. Now, in 1993, he was the quarterback on a state championship team for Bergen Catholic. And unbeknownst, I think, Rich and Tommy, to any of us coming into this series, one of his wide receivers on that championship team was our very own pregame producer, Tim McDermott. Now, Mac's not the biggest guy around, but he's got a big heart. He had tremendous speed. DeRosa said he had great hands. Said the last time I saw him, he was running a slant pattern over the middle against Eastside High School. They saw each other for the first time in 15 years when the Giants got here for this series. So our very own Tim McDermott, a high school wide receiver for the Giants, Mark DeRosa. How about that, guys? And T-Mac claims he still holds some sort of 100-meter record in the county or the state of New Jersey. Claims he ran a 4.440. We'll take his word for that. I don't think there's any video evidence that exists. Rich and Tommy?
Yeah, I think I saw a tape of him at the Combine one year. There's a Sandoval who takes outside. It's a great story.
That's some good stuff. I mean, it's going to have to talk to T-Mac on the charter flight to Denver about that.
Well, just the fact that DeRosa confirmed the details and the fact that...
that's following up a story.
Yeah, it is. Everybody got hit by that one. I think Hayes and Angel Hernandez got clipped as Mike Dunn comes in and takes over for Burke Badenhop. Chris Volstad went 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 of them home runs, accounting for all 4 Giant runs. Volstad struck out 7, walked 2 through 88 pitches. On a day where Ryan Vogelsong has made 1 mistake, and that was the fastball that Mike Stanton hit out to center. Outside of that, Vogelsong has been untouchable. Mike Dunn with a good fastball, and it's 2-2 to Sandoval. Giants disabled list. Freddie Sanchez out with shoulder surgery. Miguel Tejada has an abdominal injury. They've kind of replaced him with a similar type player and maybe a little better defender in Orlando Cabrera at short with a little less pop with the bat. Barry Zito is kind of in limbo. He's on the DL, but not necessarily a major injury. Pat Burrell does have a foot injury. Sandoval watches that one miss outside. Got Sandoval, Shearholtz, and Brandon Belt. Shearholtz and Belt have both hit solo homers. 3-2, strikes him out. All right, here's the poll question. Who's your MVP for the Giants? 789-789. And the Panda is a popular guy and the leader right now on the poll. 14 homers, 44 driven in, a .311 average for Sandoval. Panda also has 18 doubles, .354 on base percentage, .520 slugging percentage.
Can I change my vote from Brian Wilson to Pablo Sandoval?
Yes.
Okay.
You can vote as many times as you like. However, Tommy, standard texting rates do apply. I think you can vote as many as 10 times.
Even if I have one of those no roaming plans things that you can text as often as you want.
We've been told we have more votes in our poll from the state of Illinois than we do from the state of Florida. So for those of you watching in Illinois, thanks for joining us. Who are most of the folks from Illinois voting for Crackstaff? Is there a pattern there? Is there an Illinois guy in that? 2-1. Shearholtz, a local guy from the Bay Area. Fly ball left. Peterson drifts back, and on the track fighting the sun makes the catch. So there's 2 outs, and here comes Brandon Belt.
Supposed to have some nasty weather up in the Northeast. The Yankee game postponed. In the Bronx, the Phillies postponed.
Wow. There have been a couple of occasions where the Marlins have gone to Colorado and run into snow, but not this time of year. At least you don't expect it.
Yeah, we had a couple of trips in there, I remember, in April.
Dunn misses in with a fastball.
Had some snow issues. You go in there in April, Rich, you can bring the ski boots, rent you a set of skis, in about an hour you're on the slopes outside of Denver.
2005 we went in there. I can just remember Juan Pierre in gloves and a ski cap out there bunting during batting practice.
It's always a great view. I can picture the view from the booth, broadcast booth that we have. You can look out over left field and see the Rocky Mountains.
Been a tough year for the Rockies, a team that many thought could compete. They ended up dealing Ubaldo Jimenez, who was essentially, last year he was the Rockies' Josh Johnson. And now he's no longer with the organization. 2-2 coming.
They had that incredible first half. I want to say 14 or 15-1 first half of the season. Really tapered off the second half. And was up and down this year before he was traded to Cleveland.
Three-two coming to Belt. Hammers it. Right field. Deep. Gone. Brandon Belt has hit a pair. And the Giants have 4 home runs in the ball game. The 2-run shot by Ross. And now 3 solo shots have followed.
Get to that 3-2 situation, and that pitch is grooved middle of the plate, and just a beautiful swing. The Giants hope they see a lot of that from Brandon Belt, who is their first baseman of the future.
That would be an enormous boost if they could get that from Belt.
First career multi-homer game, and he'll probably have a few more.
Two outs here in the 8th. So Chris Bolstad gave up 3 homers. Mike Dunn gives up a home run, and Orlando Cabrera's at the plate.
Brandon Belt has a great name for a power hitter.
It was a good at bat. To center, Cameron makes the catch, but the Giants strike again. Another solo homer. And now a 5-1 lead. Brandon Belt has been big for the Giants. Pair of solo shots. Get behind the scenes Marlins information. You can follow FS Marlins on Twitter. Sign up today at twitter.com FS Marlins.
I would imagine, Rich, on Tuesday night from Coors Field, we'll get some tweets. We'll have some emails that we can talk about.
That's an understatement.
I would imagine there'll be a few subjects we'll touch on.
Vogelsong now for the 8th. Peterson, Hayes, and a pinch hitter. And Vogelsong misses up. Peterson is bounced out and flied out.
Vogelsong's high in innings pitched this year. Twice he's gone 8 innings.
And a strike to Peterson. Last inning we were running down the injuries that the Giants have. Barry Zito, one of them. Zito actually down in AAA making some starts. And word comes that last night he sprained an ankle on a fielding play. And he will be sidelined indefinitely. Zito made 9 starts this year for the Giants. His ERA was 5.62. That's why Ryan Vogelsong has my vote for MVP.
All right.
Apparently the state of Illinois does not agree. They're
just looking, by the way, too, his career high is 8 innings. So he's trying to get through this inning to tie that. Illinois is trying to carry that vote.
Well, they're pushing hard for the Panda, I think. Strike there to Peterson. Brian Peterson is bounced out and flied out. Jose Seda down to the bullpen. Two is outside. Peterson is walked, and that's the first one issued by Vogelsong. We'll see if the Giants bullpen starts to stir here in the 8th. Follow the Marlins with the MLB.com At-Bat 11 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Get live audio, pitch-by-pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text At-Bat to 31826 or visit Marlins.com for details.
Jeremy Affeldt looks like he's going to start to get loose. By the way, the 4 home runs for the Giants today, that's a season high, ties their season high.
Breaking ball is a strike.
You know, a loss today also, Rich, will put the Marlins at 500 under Jack McKeon. They'll go to 24-24.
Hayes dumps that one into right center field, and coming in hard is Shearholtz to make the catch. So an out, and Jose Lopez makes his return to the Marlins.
We saw Jose Lopez earlier this year, and he did not fare well with sporadic play. At one point he was 3 for 29, but to his credit, a guy who's had a lot of major league experience, he went down. He was sitting 400 in AAA.
Vogelsong misses away, and it's 1-0. Top of the order, Bonifacio on deck. 1 out, 5-1 Giants in the 8th. In a game that has been dominated by the home run. All 5 Giant runs have come on 4 separate homers. And the Marlins' only run came on a Mike Stanton home run. Lopez gets jammed. And Cody Ross makes the catch. Well, there are 2 outs. Here comes Bonifacio. Vogelsong right at 100.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Bruce Bochy decides to do if Vogelsong gets through this inning. Looking at his pitch counts this year, he's gone as high as 115 a couple of times. He hasn't had many, if any, stressful innings out there either.
Bonifacio with the count 1-0. He's had a tough series. He is 1 for 11 in the series. As we talked about, you'd love to see Bonifacio continue what he has started here and finish the season getting on base, stealing bases, being selective at the plate. One and one. Has struck out and bounced out twice. Vogelsong's out in front, 1-2. Bonnie lines this one into left center field. That couldn't get in there for a base hit. It goes to the wall. It should easily score Peterson. And the Marlins have made it 5-2. RBI double by Bonifacio. Here comes Amezaga. Giants bullpen has a couple of arms up.
Boy, that's just nice inning. Vogelsong has used that curveball all afternoon. He dropped it in outer part of the plate. Bonifacio just sent it into left center. Peterson scoring easily on our checkers. Double of the game.
Now with 2 outs, it's Amezaga. You got Stanton on deck. If Amezaga can get on, then all of a sudden you've got Stanton at the plate as the potential tying run. And Vogelsong looks like he is tiring right now. 106 pitches in this heat. He's been splendid so far. Dave Righetti's out to check on his starter.
Yeah, he's gotten that count over 100. There's no doubt now if he gets through this inning, this is going to be all for him. Righetti may be stalling for a little time right now because they had the lefty up. Remember, Affeldt. Now they've gone to a right-hander in that bullpen with Mike Stanton waiting on deck. Santiago Casilla is getting loose.
Two and 0 to Amezaga. Misses low, 3-0. And he walked him, and he looks like he's done. And he is. Bruce Bochy doesn't want to see him face Stanton for the 4th time. He struck Mike out the last 2 times up, and of course Stanton hit a solo homer in the 1st inning. Stanton represents the potential tying run. In the bottom of the 8th, a Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call?
There are 2 outs. Ryan Vogelsong, an outstanding start, but he's hit the end of the road, and Santiago Casilla is in for the Giants. Look at his ERA.
Minuscule. Look at the opponent's batting average, 189. A couple of breaking balls he uses, good sinking fastball. That'll be the challenge for Mike Stanton.
Stanton hit his 26th homer of the season, in the first a solo shot, and that was the only run of the game for the Marlins up till this 8th inning when Emilio Bonifacio knocked in a run with a 2-out double. You got good speed out there with Amezaga and Bonifacio, and here comes Stanton. So it's Casilla against Stanton, with Dobbs on deck. First pitch in the dirt, gets away. Both runners are going to move up.
Good job by both runners. Bonifacio at second, then as a runner at first, you have to keep your eye on that runner at second and just follow the lead.
Fastball up, it's 2-0. Now first base is open.
And you got the
Affelt in the
lefty
bullpen.
up again. Yeah, remember he got up earlier. Now he's up again. He's getting ready for Dobbs.
Breaking ball, Stanton swings and misses. Mike looking fastball well out in front. Casilla's 2-1 pitch. In 3-1. If he got a 2-0 breaking ball, does he get a 3-1 breaking ball?
Yeah. That's the difference in the game now. Years ago, you had this guy would come in to pitch, and he was going to finish the inning. In his mind, and this is how I think pitchers unfortunately think now, okay, if I don't get him, they'll bring in the lefty. And so, yeah, that's why I think he'll throw another breaking ball here.
He did, and it was beautiful.
Slider right on the outside corner.
It's 3-2.
So on the other hand, I think if you're Mike Stanton, you have to sit on that pitch. You have to look for that slide.
Yeah, the only 2 strikes he's thrown in this at bat have been those breaking balls.
No reason for him to change.
Stan hits a slow tapper to third. Sandoval bobbles and just got him. Wow. By less than a step. 5-2 Giants. Avoiding any more runs in the bottom of the 8th on a nice play by Pablo Sandoval. And the Fish get deeper in their bullpen. Jose Seda is out of the pen. He gets the bottom third of the order. Aaron Rowan, Eli Whiteside, and then the pitcher spot for the Giants. And you would expect to see Brian Wilson come in and pitch the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah, I think what made that play a good play for Sandoval is that he had a Meziga kind of cutting right in front of him, the runner going from second to third. He kept his concentration.
Jose Lopez stays in the ballgame. He's at second base. And so Meziga is out, and that's where the pitcher resides in the Marlins order. Rowan goes after a high fastball. Aaron Rowan now 33. He has another year left on his contract. Part of that White Sox World Championship team in 2005, a couple of years with the Phillies, and he parlayed that into a long-term deal with the Giants.
Yeah, he parlayed a career year in Philadelphia. A great year in 07. Hit .309, had 27 home runs, won a Gold Glove, was an all-star.
Rowan last year just .230, 11 homers, 34 driven in. Cal State Fullerton. To right, and Stanton wanders back and makes the catch. Eli Whiteside coming up. And tomorrow, there's your matchup for the Marlins and the Rockies. Kevin Millwood has reemerged. And Clay Hensley will be pitching as well. That's an interesting matchup there, Millwood and Hensley.
Yeah, they just picked up Millwood and signed him. He'd been out there as a free agent.
Anibal Sanchez and Julius Chassin.
It's only going to be Millwood's second start with the Rockies.
That Sanchez-Chassin matchup is game 2 of the series, and Ricky Nolasco and Aaron Cook. Whiteside fouls it back, counts 1-2. Seda, a big man that throws hard. And the count stays at 2-2. Checking on Dan Ugla. What have you got? 0 for 2 today. He's at 33 games. If he gets hits in his next 24 games, including this one, he would break Joe DiMaggio's record on September 7th.
Yep, 0 for 2 with that 1 RBI on the sac fly. Good breaking ball. Looks like Bruce Bochy's going to go with Casilla.
And let Casilla pitch the...
That's kind of interesting because remember we pointed out last night when Wilson came in to pick up the save that he hadn't pitched a lot over the last week.
Maybe Bochy is looking at the week ahead and saying, hey, 4 games in Atlanta, I might want Brian Wilson as fresh as possible. And maybe last night sharpens him up. Look how far out of the box Casilla is right now.
There's no way Casilla is even thinking about swinging. And so far, Seda
can't throw a strike.
Yeah.
He's almost out of the box. He might as well stand in the on-deck circle. Look at this. Oh, and Seda cannot throw a strike. Unbelievable. I mean, you almost want to underhand it.
This is what you have to deal with. A young pitcher. Great upside. Great stuff. Can't throw a strike to a guy who isn't even going to swing the bat.
I mean, he could have gone up there without a bat. Essentially. I mean, why take a bat up there? And Casilla not even sure which direction to go now, and the bat boy points him towards first base. We've been told that Brian Wilson is experiencing some back spasms.
So that's why.
Now Casilla will get instructions from Roberto Kelly
as to which direction to go should the ball be hit.
And now with Cody Ross in there, a guy that can hit it out of the park, there's a strike. And that's exactly what Ross did in the 3rd inning.
That was, by the way, Casilla's first at bat in the major leagues. And he's been around a little bit with Oakland.
It's a guy that wasn't a starter in the minor leagues, and so, you know, in the minor leagues, starters rarely get ABs, only when you're above the AA level and National League affiliates play each other. So if you're a reliever in the minor leagues, you rarely touch a bat. One and 2 to Ross. Well, Iseda now knows what it's like to throw out the first pitch of a game. You know, where there's no one at the plate except Billy in that big glove.
That's the difference, though. Billy has that big glove.
Ross pops that breaking ball up. Gabby shielding the sun with his glove. Makes the catch. Inning over. Marlins need 3. Down 5-2 in the ninth to the Giants. Trucker Band, who are you going to call? 1-877 Marooney, and by Subway, eat fresh. An awful homestand for the Marlins. Comes down to the bottom of the ninth. The Fish 1-8 on this homestand. They've split with the Giants, but the Giants have a 3-run lead. The Giants apparently without Brian Wilson's services. And there's the bearded one down in the pen.
The Marlins, by the way, Rich, on this homestand, this is the 10th game of the homestand, have scored 25 runs the entire homestand.
Well, that's not getting it done, that's for sure. And you've got Greg Dobbs, Mike Cameron, and Gabby Sanchez coming up to face Santiago Casilla. This is Ryan Vogelsong's game to win. He could improve to 10-2. And 7 2/3, Tommy, probably will qualify him for the ERA race. He was charged with the 2 runs in this one.
His ERA now at 2.47.
That should be good enough for second in the National League. There's a strike to Dobbs. Greg Dobbs, a couple of hits.
Tough afternoon for Dontrell Willis. Pitching against the Padres, just went 2 2/3, 6 hits and 4 runs. He pitched so well. His previous 2 or 3 outings didn't have anything to show for it. But a tough outing today.
Dobbs had a rip at the 1-1. It's 1-2. Just 4 hits for the Marlins. Just 2 runs. Dobbs has 2 of the hits, a Mike Stanton home run and an RBI double by Emilio Bonifacio. And that's it. Dobbs lifts that one foul and out of play. The Braves have just given up a 3 spot in the 6th to the Cubs. It's 4-3 Atlanta, with the Cubs still hitting in the top of the 6th.
How about last night, the 2 guys at the top of the order for the Cubs, Starlin Castro and Darwin Barney each went 4 for 5.
Darwin Barney having a nice rookie year.
You know, you look at that Cubs roster, and boy, they have some things they need to get rid of. But they also have some young talent, some guys like that to build around. I think they'd like to see Tyler Colvin come into play a little bit, become an everyday outfielder.
2-2. To center, that's Aaron Rowan territory today. And the former Gold Glover makes the catch. Are you a former Gold Glover if you've won a Gold Glove in years past, or once you win a Gold Glove, can you be called?
I think it's like if you're president, you're always president. So I think if you win a Gold Glove, you're always a Gold Glover. Even if you stink the next few years, you're still a Gold Glover.
And we're not saying that we're not saying that Rowan does,
but that could happen.
Here's Cameron.
Yeah, I think you're always just like if you're an all-star, always an all-star. He's an all-star too. The year he won the Gold Glove in 07.
Pittsburgh beating Milwaukee 1-0 in the bottom of the 6th. Of course, Arizona has the Mets tonight. Arizona's won 5 in a row.
Yeah, underway a little bit later on. Capuano against Jason Marquez had a couple of starts with the Diamondbacks, not good ones, since being traded there.
The Rockies are actually in St. Louis for the Sunday night game, so the Marlins will be back in Denver before the Rockies are. Cameron squares one up, knocks it into center field. Marlins have a base runner. Here comes Gabby Sanchez. And as Tommy pointed out, the Phillies and the Nationals were rained out. Affeldt getting ready for Peterson, who's on deck.
Yeah, that Philly game, that was a Roy Halladay start. He was going after win number 16.
One and 0. Cubs have tied that game. 4-4 now in Atlanta. Garcia misses away.
Sure, Gabby's looking forward to turn things around, maybe get on the road. Just 2 for 33 on this homestand.
Fastball strike. With Brian Wilson experiencing some back discomfort, and that same report also indicates that their setup man, Gabby, takes a strike and he turns around, doesn't like the call.
Yeah, that one's not even close. The third pitch, too.
He hasn't thrown a strike yet.
Tough to hit when that's the strike zone.
Comes a 2-2. Breaking ball, he hit that one hard.
And then the odds tell you that all of a sudden Casilla is going to drop a perfect pitch in there for a perfect strike.
That same report of back spasms for Wilson has Sergio Romo with a tender elbow. Giants still have plenty of arms, and good ones in their pen. Cameron's at first with one out. 2-2 coming to Gabby Sanchez. Gabby reaches out, lines it to left, and Cody is there to make the catch. Boy, that's the way it's been going.
But I think you've seen Gabby today, a couple of balls he's hit well. Line drive to center, that line drive there. So now you hope, as we've talked about with a Cody Ross, when you start seeing good swings, that things start to fall into place. You get a little blooper here, and then you start putting some base hits together.
Bruce Bochy's taking no chances here. He wants Jeremy Affeldt to come in and face the lefty, exit Sergio Casilla. Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
Here, Bruce Bochy bringing in the lefty to face Brian Peterson. Jack McKeon's going to counter with a John Buck. And there's Affeldt, tough on lefties. And he's going to face Buck. Mike Cameron's at first. The Marlins are down by 3 here in the 9th and down to their last out. As we pointed out, Brian Wilson apparently not available with back spasms. So here's Buck.
Yeah, Affeldt's given up 5 home runs, 4 to righties, only 1 to lefties.
Big breaking ball for a strike. Ramon Ramirez in the Giants' pen. Check swing, ball in the dirt. Cameron still at first. It's 1-1. Affeldt has been dynamite since the All-Star break, giving up just 1 run. His 2-1. That's in. And now it's 3-1.
Kind of a dart thrower is the best way to describe his delivery. And he's missed with a couple of good fastballs, but they've been in.
He's been just overpowering against lefties. Lefties are just 2 for 40, 2 for their last 40. But he walks a right-handed hitter in Buck, and that's going to bring the tying run to the plate in Brett Hayes. And it's going to bring Bruce Bochy out of the dugout. He's going to go back to that bullpen. So apparently, both Brian Wilson and Sergio Romo are unavailable, so it's going to fall to Ramon Ramirez to get Brett Hayes out, or at least try to. Take it away, Marooney.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
Hayes stands up there. You've got Jose Lopez on deck. The Marlins down to their last out, down 3, bottom of the 9th. Hayes in this ball game is 0 for 3. And Ramirez misses down low. Cameron and Buck out on the bases. On a day where a couple of premium arms are unavailable in the Giants' pen, and that's up, and it's 2-0.
And right now, Bruce Bochy feeling a little of that Brian Wilson pain.
Pitch. There's a strike at the knees. It's 2-1. Hayes has 3 homers. Ramirez in relief of Jeremy Affeldt. Good live fastball, and he gets a strike. Now it's 2-2.
One of those 3 home runs, a grand slam against Milwaukee back in June.
Two and 2 to Brett Hayes. Check swing. He went around, says Angel Hernandez. So Hayes goes down swinging, and the Giants win the ball game. Ryan Vogelsong goes to 10-2. Here's a look from the side, and it looked like he did. Tough way to finish the ball game for the Marlins on a disastrous homestand. The Marlins 1-9 on the stand. Cody Ross, a 2-run homer. Marlins Live coming up.